Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militiaman and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption. Hey, good evening everybody. It's going to be a little quick, fast and furious update tonight. It is the Ministry of Finance this Monday says the employee salaries for the 2024 are fully insured. So Taif Sami and delegations were in the Kurdistan region. I think they were doing audits. I think that she showed up in Parliament today and had some questions and some answers. But the bottom line was they're looking for the Kurdistan region to be listing, or well, at least they will be subject to submitting a list of names because they want an accurate number of employees. I think the Barzanis, there was an article out today, I guess one of the Barzanis is here in the United States in court for some court cases. I find that interesting. I'm not sure how that's going to turn out for him, but I wish him the best because I think a lot of the citizens in the Kurdistan region would like to know where some of the money's gone. So we'll see how it goes. They go on to say that the release of salaries of employees in the Kurdistan region for the current month is subject to the submission of a list of names and have stipulated the nationalization in order to disperse them during the coming months. So they're going to want to know the who, the what, how much, and job titles, all that kind of stuff. So they're going to be audited. And they go on to say that the ministry has begun launching the financing for the operating budget for the current year. Well, we've been still waiting for the launching of the 2023 budget portions, the operational side and the investment side, and now they're talking about the 2024 budget schedules. And so Taif Sami supposedly have been working her tail off, working Fridays and Saturdays, but yet have we still seen anything in respect to exposure of the 2023 budget? And we haven't seen that as far as I can say. But again, they're going to be looking for some accurate names and numbers so they can do the calculations. I would like to also bring up that I think I may have just be a little disorganized, but forgive me. Coming on the back of that, I wanted to get into what is going on outside the box a little bit. When it comes back to the Kurdistan region, not paying their salaries, and then what else are they not doing? Well, they're not pumping oil through the Cyan port of Turkey. And so we see that in the news today. And we also see in the news today that Turkey is bargaining with water to, Iraq needs a share of the water. And so this whole plan for development road project, the sustainable development that Iraq is going through, the things that you're going to see and hear in the MC13, the WTO, the ITC, the International Trade Center, they're all working in conjunction with the UN, the WTO, all that. They're all giving support for Iraq. And so some of the things they're probably going to be talking about is oil, for instance, because there's a lot of money that has been shut off for the non-oil and oil revenues in Turkey. Not Turkey, the Kurdistan region. But through Kurdistan region is where the Turkey oil flows. And it's also where the water comes from, a lot of it. So them having talks with Turkey's informing Iraq of its readiness to receive the oil through the Cyan port again. Well, that's not a bad thing. And then when you see that Turkey bargains with Iraq for water. So, not to get into a long thing on it, but Turkey owes some money. I think $1.5 billion because of the circumstances that they were illegally getting oil from Iraq through 2014 and 2018, and the Paris court fixed that. So the point here is that as far as the oil is concerned, they're stressing the support for the continued flow of oil because of its benefits for all, as there will be an increase in oil exports. So them having this on the table at this stage of the game, WTO is going on. You have circumstances. Tafe Sammy says that she's getting ready to pay salaries. The court has actually talked about the oil and gas. The court has also talked about the salaries, paying them, and other things, non-oil revenue streams, customs, etc. So all of those things are happening. So the fact that the Turkey's talking about oil and water, I think is a big thing that we should keep in mind, especially as time is near, because they probably haven't turned on the cyan oil because they need a valuation of those assets, that oil. And they haven't exposed that valuation yet. I don't believe the valuation of Iraq's country is going to be at 1310. It is now, but we're going to find out. Why have they been hiding it? Why haven't they gone international? Why haven't they opened those borders and just started doing business and buying all those materials just yet? All those materials for the 15 cities, industrial cities of 10, and residential cities, all that stuff. Are they going to build all that stuff? Are they at 1310? Where are they going to get the dinar for it? The article suggests, I believe, that they have come out and just recently told us that they've been telling us that they've destroyed money. And they've been doing it for a long period of time. Are they telling you exactly how much? Nah, maybe, or maybe not. But they have been doing it for quite some time. It says that for the first time in 20 years, Iraq participates in the Ministerial Conference of the World Trade Organization. Well, isn't that great? We already know that, but is it old news? Kind of. But it just got started when? Today. It says that the completion of the requirements for Iraq's accession to the organization, which is the completion of the files of trade in goods and trades and services within the timetable for joining the global multilateral trading system. It's a pretty powerful article. When it says stuff like that, it specifically says where are they doing it? The capital of Abu Dhabi. It says the desire and seriousness of the Iraqi government is to establish balanced economic relations with all countries of the world at various levels and fields by improving the business and investment environment and making real reforms in laws and legislation. It goes on to say the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, thanking them, right, for what? Supporting the process of Iraq's accession to the international organization through the visit of the permanent ambassador to the organization, Sakr al-Mukbel, and his chairmanship of the working group for Iraq's accession. Regarding intra-trade and increasing trade exchange between Arab countries, Minister al-Fawari noted that Iraq's keenness on the importance of the presence of Arab countries in Iraq to restore its effective role in economic organizations. So these guys they're moving forward. It says the minister offered congratulations to the state of Comoros, East Timor, and obtaining membership in the World Trade Organization. That doesn't say that that Iraq and all these other countries, the other 6 or 7, I think there's probably 6, I think, including Iraq, that have been noted that they're going to be talking to them about it. Now, have they told them that they're going to have the same as the state of Comoros and East Timor? I'm not so sure. I think you're going to get a feel that what you're going to see here is that we just don't know for sure. Are they going to surprise us? Now remember, Saleh, the Prime Minister's advisor, came out and said there's going to be a major announcement in respect to Iraq, and it's going to have a digital component to it. So we're going to have to realize that, you know what, the IQD system is a digital component. The new platforms for trading are digital components, and transparency is going to be a digital component. And we also know that Iraq's currency is going to have a digital component to it. And that's, in my view, okay, very serious. I think it's pretty interesting. Does it mean that Iraq will have a session tomorrow or the next day or in the near future? It doesn't say that. It just says that they're specifically the completion of requirements for Iraq's accession to the organization, which is the completion of files of trade in goods and trades and services within the timetable for joining the global multilateral trading system. That right there seems to me that they did that today and they talked about that, or last night. How is that not powerful in the sense that it gives a suggestion, doesn't say a fact, it just gives a suggestion, then that's what's going to happen. So if you don't mince words, just that's what it suggests, and that's what I'm reading from them. It's not my personal opinion. I just like the fact that they suggest it, and I think it's pretty big. So it goes on here. It says another article. It says that the launch of the 13th Ministerial Conference of the World Trade Organization. It says that the work of the 13th Ministerial Conference, WTO, kicked off, and with the participation of Iraq. Okay, perfect. So they're there to have some participation. It says it was to be held at the Abu Dhabi Exhibition Center during the period of what, the 26th to the 29th. So guess what? Today's the first day. They've got a few more days to be able to expose more stuff, if that's what they're going to do. And we're going to find out. There's a participation of about 164 members, and there's 25 observer states, and so forth and so forth. But one of the things that they're looking for is achieving the global goals of Sustainable Development Plan. Well, one of the Stable Development Plan people, or entities, I should say, is the UN. Now, the International Trade Center is what? A joint portion of the UN to the WTO. And you got to say, well, okay, so how does this all mean with Iraq? Well, they just told you Iraq is going to showcase. They're going to be there too. They're not the only ones, but they're going to be there. They already had a conversation today. And one of the things that the Iraqi government said today by the Ministry of Commerce was that, I'll read the whole thing. Iraqi government represented by the Ministry of Commerce has made strides in the process of joining by following up and managing the accession files. Wait a second. In the process of joining. By following up and managing the accession files for Iraq to obtain membership in the organization, and because accession represents an urgent priority. I like that part. The urgent priority that the government seeks to meet its requirements through implementing the provisions of the government program based on creating the basic base for attracting foreign investors, carrying out the necessary legislative, economic reforms, combating corruption, and encouraging competition. I don't know which one of those things has Iraq not done yet. Which one have they not been focusing on yet? I'm fairly sure that anybody can see that when they say that they're going to have an urgent priority, I don't know, isn't that kind of like a hot potato? Let's get it out. Let's do it. I think that's pretty much where they're at. So the next thing I want to say here is that when it comes to trade and building, right? One of the things that they're going to need is, here's an article by the Ministry of Electricity. He's saying that we seek to secure our need for materials through the private sector. So the private sector, sustainable development road project, Ministry of Electricity is looking to secure their needs for materials to do what? To build new residential cities and projects, okay? The electricity is part of that. The sewage is going to be part of that. The roads are going to be part of that. All of that's infrastructure. And then you have to ask yourself, really? Are they going to be truly able to do all this at 1310? Then if that's the case, then why didn't Tafe Sammy just say that last year in 2023? Why didn't they just do that in 2022? Why are they still squabbling over salaries in 2024? I think it's basically because we probably all figured it out that there's got to be some sort of a component that is going to be related to an exchange rate, because they're not going to build the whole country out from the port of Fao all the way out into the neighboring countries in Jordan and Turkey and so forth to the Mediterranean. There's not enough dinar out there. And there's also the thing about it is they're telling you that they've actually destroyed trillions of dinar. We've talked about that. We talked about the fact that they have monies allocated for currency issuance in 2018. They're talking about delete the zeros projects, 3-4 articles. They even mentioned about going back to an era around 1980. I mean, they're lengthy little articles that talk about specifically. I think there's another guy that's going to come out tonight. He's going to talk about how long this one particular article is. I shared with you a brief synopsis of it because I didn't want to waste my time and your time. But the bottom line is that there's a lot of information that comes from that. And that's one of the things that they have to deal with. In this particular article, they're talking about 50,000 housing units, 30,000 in one case, 20,000 in another. I don't know about you guys, but if you know how many houses that is, that's a lot of material. That's a lot of nuts and bolts. It's a lot of wiring. Refrigerators, stoves, air conditioning units, windows, bricks, mortar. Anyway, the next thing is that there is the a completion investment licenses. So they're still at it. They've got five residential cities additional. It says the ministry is currently working on preparing the roads for these cities. Okay, that's what asphalt, right? We got gravel, asphalt. You got base materials. You got to get the equipment in there. It's 1,000 miles. It's phenomenal. So the cost is huge. It says that these projects will be implemented, the Metro project, the Ring Road project, all of which are supposed to be launched soon. Oh, is that in the coming days? I guess so. But they point out that they have priorities. In this particular case with the WTO, the government says they have an urgent priority. In this particular case, it's one of the priorities for establishing the cities is to provide them with the basic services, which are what? Water, electricity, sewage, and communications. So there you have it. That's what their expectations are. So when they're having this World Trade Organization meetings, what is that all about? It's about world trade. All those materials, where are they going to come from? They're going to come from all over the world. Where are they going to go through? Borders, ports. Is that urgent? Is that coming this next fall? Is that going to come next year, 2 years from now? Urgent is down. So anyway, you guys get the point. How about this? Al Tawani calls on the International Monetary Fund. Who is this guy? He's a chairman of the Finance Committee. He gets a TV call and says International Monetary Fund, the World Bank are to provide the necessary support to Iraq in the areas of exchanging experiences and training national cadres. So they're reaching out for some help. Iraq's Finance Committee. It says that this Monday evening, via a closed-circuit television, it says the deliberative meetings of the International Monetary Fund regarding the financial and economic situation in Iraq. Excuse me. Al Tawani provided a complete briefing on the financial and economic situation and the items, programs included in the tripartite budget for the laws 2023 through 2025, for the years, I should say. And they are consistent with the government program to advance various sectors, activate the private sector, encourage investment, and support investors, of course, and in order to achieve sustainable development. Those are all the things that we've been talking about. This is what he's had a conversation with the World Bank, IMF today. We need support. So, expertise, we're following through, we've done all these things. You guys be our backup, right? I think that's where he's going with this. He goes on to say that approving the tripartite budget gave the government great comfort in terms of contracting, implementing projects, and attracting foreign companies to implement major projects. Okay. Pointing out that the Finance Committee, through monitoring, spending, financing, and implementing plans and programs, seeks what? Integration between the legislative and executive authorities. I don't know if you guys have, I'm pretty sure in Patreon everybody really realizes this, but when integration comes up, what is that? Integration is one of the priorities, there's that word again, of the WTO. Integrating countries to global trade, interconnectivity. Here they're talking about integration. I've been focusing in on this in my videos with everybody. And thank you guys in Patreon and Discord for being with us and being a good study because some very, very, very bright, intelligent people are enjoying our study. I mean, we have a fascinating little group. It's awesome. Thank you so much. They go on to say that the training the national cadres, developing the banking system, especially as we're moving towards activating the digital financial dealing system and automating taxes, customs, and other service sectors that generate financial revenues for the state. Now, keep in mind that we have expectation of a major announcement and with respect to the digital financial system in Iraq. And we were told about that, I think it was by Saleh, that we were waiting for a major announcement, and that was in December. And now we're just pushing right at the border of March. And so where is that announcement? Is that announcement having a surprise with the WTO? Is that those partial other countries, is all boats going to rise with the tide? Are they going to give us information that they had to keep close to the chest? Don't know yet, but we're going to find out. We're going to find out. Is Iraq's ability to change their exchange rate based off the WTO? No, not at all. Iraq is, they can do that on their own. They can have IMF compliance. They can have freedom of capital movement. They already told you that. They can have that no multi-currency practices. They can meet their requirements. Will that be a benefit after the fact for accession down the road, if that's what they chose? Sure, of course. But is it the key component that everybody's waiting for? No. Have we ever said that it was? And that was the key component? No, never have. Not that I'm aware of. But keep it in mind. It's all good stuff. It goes on to say that the 13 Ministerial Council, they kicked off on Monday, was one of the things here that was going to be fascinating. It says here that, the experience of other member states to provide support to developing and least developed countries in the global multilateral economic system and the process of joining the World Trade Organization. And I have a feeling that that little last bit has to do with, of course, it has to do with Iraq. And Al-Gawari, participation in the conference gives Iraq the opportunity to learn about the experiences of members and states, and for Iraq to provide support to developing and least developed countries in a global multilateral economic system and the process of joining the World Trade Organization. So it sounds like in this particular case, I'll let you guys look it up, it's suggesting that Iraq is going to be helpful to other countries, just as Saudi Arabia was for them. Saudi Arabia said that they did about 15 years of work within 1 year for this to go down this week. Well, to be part of what's going down this week. Not that they have a session this week. I didn't say that. It goes on and says, the minister points out that the Iraq's government, represented by the Ministry of Commerce, has made strides in the process of joining by following up and managing the accession files for Iraq to obtain membership in the organization. And because accession represents an urgent priority, that the government seeks to meet its requirements through implementing the provisions of the government program based on creating the basic base for attracting foreign investments, carrying out the necessary legislative and economic reforms, combating corruption, and encouraging competition. So there you have it. We've already went over that, but in an urgent priority. But it gives you the basis, it gives you the context of what it is. It's really big. And whether they do it this week or not is going to be determined. But I'll tell you what, it sure is looking like they have come a long way. And I think this meeting is a big set of meetings. And they go on, I think this is the last thing I'm going to go through, what I think is going to be a powerful circumstance is that the Ministry of Commerce, different, that was the Ministry of Chamber of Commerce, no? Chairman of the Finance Committee, okay, that was chairman of the finance committee, so it's a little bit different. And Ministry of Commerce, this is different, right? It says discusses with the director of International Trade Center for the formula for joint action and support for Iraq to obtain membership in the WTO. So what's the formula? And we already mentioned who the International Trade Center is. It says the executive director of the International Trade Center in the ITC in Geneva. It says they're looking for the formula for a joint action supporting Iraq's accession to the World Trade Organization and strengthening the capabilities of the administrative staff on the economic and commercial tracks. So they're looking to help people strengthen their capabilities and the administrative staff. Doesn't that sound like support? Isn't that what it sounds like that the IMF was suggesting, then the World Bank was suggesting, that we're here to help you? Let's go. Okay. Same here. The minister stressed that Iraq's government's desire to integrate into the global multilateral trading system. That's the WTO. That's exactly what it is. Of course it is. It says that the strengthen the capabilities, commercial tracks, stimulate, revitalize the role of the Iraqi economy by supporting reforms and legislation to be consistent and to be qualified to lead the next stage in the light of the government's approach in the aspect. So, that's a big mouthful, but the point is that this is leading to the next steps in light of the government's approach. What was their approach? It's an urgent priority. So pretty good. So this guy, gentleman, he says, Al Ferrari, he goes on to say, it says, we're happy to work with your team. So they're going to work with these guys and support the provided, complete the files required for Iraq's accession to the World Trade Organization, stressing the desire to benefit from the capabilities of the center and its training institute to train and create diplomatic commercial generation. So obviously, as you guys can see, they're moving forward on this, and she goes on, and this person says, the director of the Trade Center, readiness to provide more support to Iraq to fulfill the requirements of the next stage in building and strengthening the capabilities of the new generation in accordance with market standards, to achieve sustainable development, those two words again, and develop the institutional capabilities of the relevant ministries, in addition to strengthening the capabilities of the private sector and small, medium, and enterprises and supporting the youth projects. Obviously, it goes on to say that they're going to be increasing their skills, stressing that the center's commitment to Iraq in providing all of the support and technical assistance it needs, along with the continuity of the joint cooperation with the Ministry of Commerce, the Iraq International Trade Center, and remember, the International Trade Center is a joint member of the UN. So, what they're saying is that the center's commitment to Iraq in providing all of the support and technical assistance it needs. So they're giving them. So it's almost like they're at this show or at this big forum, at the symposium, whatever you want to give it a call to, is that there's going to be some other states. Aside from Timor-Leste and the Comoros, you still got about 6 countries that are showcased. So they're going to be there. They're going to be talking about them. Are they all going to get kind of a surprise? Or is it just Iraq? Or is it none of the above? Just those 2 countries? Nobody knows that. Nobody has shown that. I haven't seen any documentation on it. I'm not holding back on anything. But here we go. It says it, to be fair, getting to the bottom line, it says the chairman of the finance committee, I say, today is getting support from the IMF and the World Bank. We went over that. And now we hear see that the Minister of Commerce is getting with the International Trade Center in Geneva. Again, it's the joint agency between the UN and the WTO. And what are they doing? It looks like they're trying to garner a joint formula in supporting Iraq's accession to the World Trade Organization. And it sure looks like to me, Iraq is getting the help she needs on many fronts. Iraq's stating today that the government has an urgent priority to get accession to the WTO. What else can you say? That's pretty powerful information. They sure do look like they're getting ready to get the help that they need. And again, regardless if today, tomorrow, or whenever, they will have the help and support. And basically, to me, urgent is not 6 months away. It's not that far out. But we're going to see how it goes. But in the meantime, Iraq has some things to do with their 23, 24, and 25 budget, and they have projects to pay for. Are they going to do that at 1310? And if they are, why not tell us? All right, you guys, thank you for being with me. Appreciate your time and effort. And of course, everybody that's new, if you are, hit that like button if you like it, subscribe, and please, if you'd like to keep this content rolling, we have the PayPal, the Venmo, and the Zelle. Thank you so much very much, you guys. Appreciate it. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content, subscribe to the channel, or join us at the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated, as always. Much, much appreciated. Thank you so much, and have a great day.